Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this Future Apprentices webinar as part of National Apprenticeship Week. I'm Tom, and I'm going to be hosting the event today. I'm Senior Marketing Officer at the college, and I'm joined today by two colleagues. Nelson, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nelson Dean, and I'm the Senior Business Advisor at Waltham College.
And Jason?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jason Ashby. I'm the Apprenticeship Officer at the college, and my role is to facilitate all the administration for apprenticeships at the college.
And we're also joined today by Liana, who is one of our apprentices.
My name is Liana, and I'm a business apprentice at Waltham Forest College.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, everyone. So we're just going to run today through a fairly quick presentation, just giving you some information about apprenticeships, how you can join them, what the benefit of taking an apprenticeship is. If you've got any questions at all throughout the webinar, feel free to ask them. There's a Q&A box on the right-hand side that you can submit your questions, and we'll answer them as much as possible throughout the event. So over to you, Nelson.
Great, thank you, Tom. As my colleague was saying, that today's presentation will comprise of some basic information on apprenticeships that will help candidates, parents, guardians, and careers advisors to know exactly what, as a college, we can support you with. So, Tom, if you can go to the second slide, please. So, in general, apprenticeships are classified as work-based learning. What does this mean is apprenticeship is a real job with training. On your screen, you can see three different sections. The first one is an employer, then it's an apprentice, and then it's a training provider. So what basically happens is an employer takes on a young person as an apprentice. At the same time, that candidate attends the college to acquire knowledge throughout the program of the training. So if you say if an employer is working in construction, the candidate will be going to the employer premises 4 days a week. And 1 day a week, he'll be required or she'll be required to attend college to get the qualifications and upskills their on-the-job skills. So as an apprentice, what basically happens is either you can find an employer for yourself, or we as a college can support you to find opportunities where employers are looking to take on young people as apprentices. All apprenticeships start with the basic knowledge of English and math skills along the same side. And we at the college help employers to recruit apprentices in various sectors.
Okay, so I'm assuming then in that case, Nelson, that a person, if they're a school leaver, then if they wanted to go into like a sort of a work straight away, then they would probably join an apprenticeship, and this would be instead of going into a BTEC, a T-level, or an A-level route?
Absolutely right. So it all depends if a candidate is like more towards classroom-based learning, or he or she really enjoys working and learning at the same time. So if someone is a kinesthetic learner who's like more hands-on, who wants to learn while working and not miss out on the education, apprenticeship will be the best route for them. However, if someone thinks that they are not job ready at the moment and they would prefer to come to college 3 or 4 times a week, get the qualifications first, maybe do a part-time job alongside, and once they have finished the college program, and then they can start work. So there are different routes depending on the individual needs and where the candidates finds themselves at the current stage after finishing school.
Okay, but if an apprentice or if a person in school at the moment is interested in doing an apprenticeship, they think that would be the right route for them, but they also feel like maybe going up to degree level, is that a barrier, or are they still able to do a degree level qualification?
It's not a barrier though, because now you can start from a level 2 apprenticeships, then progress on to an advanced apprenticeship, which is level 3. And then from level 3, you can move on to higher apprenticeships, which is level 4, and level 5 are degree apprenticeships. As I said earlier, it all depends if a candidate really wants to be in employment and get the qualifications at the same time. So it varies from individual needs and individual training needs as well.
Fantastic. And I'll just mention as well that where Nelson mentioned that you've got higher apprentices and degree level apprentices, for any adults that we have watching, you'd be in good company, as about 7 in 10 apprentices are actually over 19 years old and doing higher or degree level apprenticeships. So there's options there for school leavers and for adults.
That's correct, yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, there are different ways where a candidate can find an apprenticeship opportunity for himself or herself. So there is something known as Find an Apprenticeship Service, where you can go online and search an employer for yourself. Nowadays, apprenticeships exist in all different sectors. You can name the sector and you can find an opportunity in it. So we can help candidates out to figure out what's the best possible way to search for their employers, and if an employer is in touch with the college, and we can find the best candidate for the employer as well. As I was saying in my previous slide, that all candidates have to attend college once a week. That in short term is known as off-the-job training. So when a candidate attends college, the employer is happy to release that particular candidate to attend the training day at the college for the entire duration of the course. And at the same time, the candidate also get paid for the day they attend college. So they are not missing out on the wages for the day they're attending college. However, they get paid for the whole 5 days. And when they are at the college, the training they acquire is they do the main qualification within each sector. So if someone is doing business administration, they will be doing the main qualification in administration. If it's hairdressing, they'll be doing a similar qualification relevant to the sector. If it's construction, engineering. So alongside the main qualifications, they do something to upskill themselves on English, maths, and ICT is required. However, if candidates have already got equivalent grades in English, Maths, and ICT, so they do not have to retake those qualifications. As all apprenticeships are work-based learning, every candidate is assigned with an assessor. What this assessor do is they have one-to-one assessments within the workplace to see what exactly the candidates are doing and what sort of support they will be required in order to do their jobs in a fullest. So this is the job of an assessor. There are meetings within the assessor by the assessor at the workplace, and there are also engagement by the employer with the assessor. So it's a three-way that goes on between the employer, the assessor, and the candidate.
Okay, so you mentioned earlier that apprentices will get paid, obviously by their employer, but are there any other benefits? Do they get holiday leave? Is there sick pay involved?
So as an employer takes on any other employee, they do an employment contract. It remains the same in terms of an apprenticeship's candidate. The only difference is the candidate will be receiving a fixed term contract. That fixed term contract will be for a duration of the entire program, but the terms and conditions will be exactly the same for any existing employee. So they will be entitled for annual leave, sickness if the employer has got sickness written down in the employment contract, if it's paid or not paid, and other benefits which are by the employer for any other employees, the apprentice will be entitled for that. Alongside, when an apprentice enrolls at the college, like any other students within the college, the apprentice will be able to facilitate herself or himself from the facilities within the college, like from student services, like student library, or any other departments which will be accessible to all apprentices and all current students.
And also, I imagine that you will benefit greatly from working alongside people who are already sort of highly knowledgeable in their industry and very skilled in the industry that you want to go in. So you'll get some first-hand training and experience from the people that you're working alongside.
Yes, definitely, because as an apprentice, you will be supervised by a senior member of staff. You are actually trained on the job. So there's a mentor that's assigned by the employer to nurture that candidate with the day-to-day tasks and to make sure, any support that is required or any sort of needs that a candidate has in terms of their learning is fulfilled by the employer in the workplace. And similarly, at the college, the assessor and the tutor is there to ensure that the coursework is done on time, that they are learning to the best, and they're learning the same skills which are required for them to do the day-to-day tasks in the workplace.
Okay, I'll just read out a question we've got here from Ellie. She's asked, what if you don't do IT? So I'm assuming that's an IT GCSE.
Okay, if you haven't got the relevant GCSE grades, then if that particular apprenticeship requires you to do functional skills ICT, then as a college, we will enroll you on that functional skills. But before enrolling you on any functional skills, we will do an initial assessment just for us to ensure that we will provide you with the right support and if it's the right functional skills level that is suited for you during that program.
Thanks, Nelson. I hope that answered your question, Ellie.
So on this slide, you can see this is the current offer which we have at Waltham Forest College. So we deliver apprenticeships at level 2 and level 3. We also do level 4 and 5 in health and care, but this is in a nutshell. So the level 2 apprenticeships are also known as intermediate apprenticeships, which are equivalent to GCSEs, and the typical duration is from 12 to 15 months. And level 3 apprenticeships are also known as advanced apprenticeships, which are equivalent to A levels, and they run for a typical duration of 18 to 24 months. The sectors which the college offer apprenticeships in are on the screen. We do business administration level 3, we do electrical engineering at level 3, we do brickwork level 2 and level 3, we do painting and decorating level 2, we do auto engineering at level 2 and level 3, carpentry level 2, plumbing level 3, health and social care level 2, level 3. We also do level 4 and 5 in health and care. And there's something niche which most colleges don't offer. We do butchery and catering qualifications at level 2. So we have a fantastic facility within the college where we train butchers who, if you are thinking about butchery apprenticeships, which most people don't think about, we have employers currently who are looking to take on apprentices. So at the end of this presentation, we will give you the email address where you can arrange one-to-one sessions with us. And if there's something which is you can't see on the list over here in terms of the sectors, we will be able to support you and find you the right employer. And if that's the program the college can offer you, we'll be happy to support you with that.
Okay, we've got a question coming from Ali. He said that he wants to take an apprenticeship, but he doesn't have any qualifications yet. He's studying maths level 2 at Waltham Forest College. So is he able to take an apprenticeship?
In order to go for a level 2 apprenticeship, there's no prior qualification that is required by any candidate. But there are some times where employers really ask candidates to have English and maths and ICT skills. But in general, if you haven't got no qualifications, we will do an initial assessments at the college to ensure that you come up to a certain level of enrolling onto that particular program. So prior qualifications is not a barrier for any candidate to enroll onto a level 2 apprenticeship. Whereas at level 3, 4 and 5, there are some prior qualifications which are required by the employer, and also for that particular qualifications because you need to have some prior skills. But in terms of level 2, there's no such requirement for a candidate to have definite qualifications in order to enroll for intermediate apprenticeships.
Okay, thank you for that. And one last question, this time from Casper. He says that what is the possibility of him doing an apprenticeship in parallel with A levels, perhaps in the evenings? Is this something that's possible, or is an apprenticeship too much?
Likewise, it won't be possible for a candidate to be at work 4 days, then 1 day at the college. You will also get 4 courseworks as well. So you won't be able to switch time between any of the qualifications you're thinking of doing while doing an apprenticeship. So
now we're just going to hear from our apprentice who has decided to join us today. If you've got any questions for Liana as well, then feel free to put them in the chat, because it might be nice to get the perspective from an apprentice. But Liana, over to you. Do you want to introduce yourself and just give us a little bit of background as to why you decided to do an apprenticeship?
Yeah, I'm Liana and I do a business administration apprentice here at Waltham Forest, and I work for a company called M&M Property Services. The reason I decided to do an apprenticeship is because I'm not really an academic person and school wasn't really for me. So I discussed with my family what my options were going to be after my GCSEs, and she said, why don't you do an apprenticeship, as it's not things like written work and you'll be making money and you can still get qualifications at the same time. And I think choosing an apprenticeship was a good idea for me, as where my friends chose to go sixth form, I'm familiar with the working world now, so I have further skills that they won't have, so I'm more ahead of them now.
Okay, so what skills do you think that you've learned so far in the workplace?
My communication skills have been furthered. I reply to inquiries from customers through emails, so I'm replying to them, I'm speaking on the phone, dealing with inquiries, so I've furthered things like communication skills.
Okay, and how do you think that these skills are going to help you moving forward in your career?
In my career, obviously, in a future workplace, we'll look and see that I've had experience in the past in a working place, so I'm more likely to get favoured over someone else as I'm more experienced.
Okay.
And yeah.
And what is it like learning at the college? So I understand you're at the college 1 day a week.
Yeah.
And what's it like learning there? What sort of things do you learn while you're at the college?
We learn at college. We learn like how organisations and companies are maintained. Things like how we learn like all things to do with businesses, how they're run, like how a good business works. We go into more detail about my apprenticeship and how each skill will help me.
Okay, so the things that you learn in college are directly related to what you do at work, and do you think that they benefit each other?
Yeah, when learning at college, everything we learn, we always have to relate it to our own work. So if we're learning something, we have to relate it, and then you get a better understanding of how your own company works.
Okay, and what is the support like at the college? Do you have an assessor and they monitor your progress? How has that been?
Yeah, that's really good. Even now that it's online, they're still really helpful. Like you can always ask them questions and things, and they work like alongside you, so you're not doing anything by yourself. When you're at college, they talk you through it and they make sure that you're okay and you understand everything.
Fantastic. Okay, is there anything that you'd like to say to anyone watching? I mean, like I said before, people feel free to ask Liana some questions that we can put to her if there's anything you want to get from an apprentice perspective. But yeah, is there anything else? Any advice about going in? Like, how was your interview process? Is there any advice you could give somebody about how best to approach the interview and the assessments?
You just have to be confident. You have to make sure that it's what you want to do. I do think it's a really good alternative though if you're like me and you're not very academic, because I thought after my GCSEs, like when I didn't do too well in them, there would be no other option for me. But when I discovered things like apprenticeships, then I realised that I could still get qualifications even though I'm not as academic.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks very much, Liana. Please stick around just in case there's any questions that people want to throw your way. Okay, we'll just continue on with the presentation. Jason, are you continuing with this bit?
I am, yes.
Fantastic.
Okay, on screen now is the government apprenticeship vacancy website. On this website, which you can see written here, the gov.uk apply-apprenticeship. And if you search on Google, you can find apprenticeship. This is what comes up. This is the portal where every apprenticeship vacancy in the country is placed. Anything from our college, Waltham Forest, or from any other training provider in the country is here. How it works is very simple. If you place where it says no keywords, the sector that you wish to work in, type in your postcode. You can then put a distance from your postcode in which you're prepared to travel and the level of apprenticeship you wish to do. And when you press this, any vacancy will come up. If you're interested in any particular vacancy that is on there, it offers you the facility to log in or register on the website. You create an account for yourself, which involves all the details of your qualifications, any work experience, and you're invited to put some details about yourself, which may be useful to employers in order to determine whether you're a fit for their position, and you can apply directly from there. There are a huge range of sectors covered on here. Pretty much any job you're interested in doing, there is an apprenticeship available for it, and you can determine then how far away you're prepared to travel, and it will then tell you and enable you to search for that and to apply for any vacancy.
Fantastic. And once somebody has applied, what is the next step after application? Do they have any interview or anything?
Yes, I think the college will contact them. The apprenticeship department at the college will contact them and tell them initially in the first instance to come in for an initial assessment, which covers English and maths in the first instance. And they'll be given a sort of a mock interview with one of my colleagues, who will then determine whether they're suitable for the position, be the few questions they ask. Then if they're deemed to be suitable, their details are forwarded on to the employer, and then they determine a short list of people, and then they select who to interview, and then we will contact the learner if they've been selected for interview to tell them when it's taking place.
Okay, and do you have any tips or advice that you could give to any future apprentices for attending the interview, how they should conduct themselves?
Well, it's like any job interview you go to. You've got to make sure you're on very good behaviour, that you're well dressed, well presented, that you've briefed yourself prepared yourself in terms of knowing about the sector and particularly about the employer, so that if they ask you any questions, you can answer them. And you must make sure that you really need to determine yourself whether this is the sector that you wish to work in your career, because this is something that will come up on the interview. And if that's the case, then your interview will go well. But the first key thing is to make sure that you are well prepared for the interview, that you've got some questions to ask the employer, and that you can answer the questions that they want, so they know that you're serious about taking their position and working for their organisation.
Brilliant. And I'd also say that if you make sure you turn up to the interview looking smart, be enthusiastic, and throughout the process, just make sure you want to jump in and learn and be engaged in the business as well. Maybe do some research about the company that you want to join beforehand. That way you'll be well prepared during the interview to answer any questions. It's also a good chance for you as well to ask the employer some questions. So if you've got any concerns or anything you'd like to know about the company beforehand, take that opportunity yourself to really ask the employer and just get to know them a little bit better as well, so you can find out if it's really the apprenticeship that you want to take on.
Some additional information is here upon this slide that clarifies that the apprenticeship doesn't have to pay anything towards the apprenticeship at all. It's entirely free for them. The college itself works with a large range of employers who can offer positions to the right candidate. But also, if you as a potential apprentice know an employer that will hire you, or you wish to find your own position, then that is fine. We can then assist you in terms of providing the training that you need. We can contact and deal with the employers to arrange that. Or if you're just interested in apprenticeship, we can assist you with finding an employer. In certain sectors, we have many employers we work with in a range of sectors.
Okay, and I don't know if this is a question for you or Nelson, Jason, but is there a public services apprenticeship available?
At the moment, I don't believe we do have one, but we do have a public services department. So maybe that's something we could perhaps offer, but at the moment, the offer is not there at this particular moment.
Okay, and another question that came in from Christian, saying that they're a 19+ student and they'd like to do an apprenticeship on business and admin, but they only have GCSEs. Would they be available? Oh, eligible, sorry.
Yes, they will be eligible. Yes, that's fine. For the business administration, say if they don't, it depends obviously on what the grade of GCSE is. If it's not sort of high enough, then they can do functional skills as part of the course itself. But if they have a high enough GCSE grade, then they would be exempt from the functional skills, and they'll be able to start the course if a vacancy can be found for them. There will be no barrier to eligibility at all.
Okay, brilliant. So we'll just progress to the next slide.
And here we are. We have the eligibility criteria right here for you. So these are the three main eligibility criteria here. You have to be at least 16 years old, and you have to have been a resident in the UK or the EU or the European Economic Area for the last 3 years. That is a must. And you must be able to pass basic initial assessments of maths and English. They're given to you, as I say, if after the application process has been started, you're invited to attend an initial assessment for maths and English. If you pass that, then you've fulfilled all the criteria, and then your name can be put forward to an employer.
Okay, I've got a question here from Ellie. Do we do a marketing sector apprenticeship?
We don't have one at this moment that I'm aware of, but I'm sure that marketing apprentices do exist, but at the moment the college doesn't do those.
Okay, but if they go to the National Apprenticeship Service, as mentioned before, and then they type in marketing, then
Yes,
they should
any
be able to find.
Yes, any vacancy that exists in that area will be on there.
Okay, and that links into Ali's just asked how he can apply for it. So again, that's just go to the National Apprenticeship website and you can make an application directly through that portal by filling in your details on there.
Yes, as I say, you have to register yourself on there first. This then requires you to fill in some details about yourself, a little bit of, as I say, personal details, work history, education history, and so on, and ask you to write a little bit of information about yourself, like a personal statement. And then as soon as that registration has been done, you can then apply for any vacancy that's on the website.
Okay, Ali's also asked, okay, there's an apprenticeship which I want to take. I found it on the Waltham Forest Council, but it's not on the Gov UK website. I would imagine in that case, Ali, you'd have to talk to Waltham Forest Council directly because we don't host their apprenticeships. So if there's a problem there, you'll have to probably talk to them directly. Okay.
But these are the benefits of apprenticeship, as you see. The obvious first one is while you're learning, you're earning money and you're gaining invaluable work experience, which is so important in terms of gaining future employment. Many apprentices that we have gone on from their apprenticeship to gain a permanent position with their companies as soon as they've completed the course, which then gives them the higher pay, the higher salary, and it gives them the chances to progress on to higher positions within that organisation. If you don't manage to secure a position, then you've also obviously got improved job prospects upon completion, as by then you have received a vocational qualification, nationally recognised, and you will also have a minimum of 1 year's work experience that you wouldn't have on a regular college course. Your English, Maths and ICT skills will be improved. Indeed, if you haven't got the qualifications already, you would get the opportunity to pass them to achieve the qualification. And even if you have them already, they will be improved because obviously you'll be using on a day-to-day basis within your organisation. Additionally, level 3 apprenticeships are typically accepted as an entry qualification for higher education, as they have the equivalence of an A-level or level 3 BTEC. So a university will accept them typically if you wish to apply for a university course. And if you live within a London borough, you're also eligible for an Oyster card discount for the first 12 months of 30%.
Okay, this is a question that came up as well yesterday. What if somebody doesn't live very local to the college? Maybe they're in a different part of London or they're just slightly outside of London. Are they still able to do an apprenticeship with us?
Okay. Yes, they are. Yes, I mean, that's not a problem because most of their time is spent in the workplace. If the workplace is particularly far from the college, much of their work could be done by an assessor, where the assessor the industry specialist who works for the college would then come to their workplace to assess them in the workplace, and we can also arrange something in terms of their knowledge qualification. We can arrange for them to assist them in terms of coming out to them at the workplace for their teaching and training. If they're working too far away from the college to come, then this can be facilitated. We can bring the assessor to them.
Okay. Some of the benefits that were mentioned there. I mean, do students still have access to college facilities as part of their apprenticeship?
They do. They have access to all the facilities at the college. All the learning resources are available. Anything that any student has in the college is available to all apprentices as well.
Okay, so all of our support, such as counselling and things like that, they're also available to apprentices.
They are. Any information and guidance, careers guidance for future, as you say, any counselling that may be required or anything. All the benefits of coming to the college are exactly the same for any student and any apprentice. They're exactly the same.
Okay, we've got another question here, just asking, they'd like to work in finance and banking. What kind of level should I have? I'm assuming that will relate to what qualifications they currently have, allow it, like, and what they can go on to.
Yes, and that again, it typically depends on what area of finance and banking that they're doing, of course, because obviously what the qualification they need will be determined by what field and this part, either finance or banking, that they're actually interested in or working in. This will be very dependent. For example, if they're in accountancy or so on, or advanced business, it would very much depend. It would also depend upon what, I'd say, the qualification they may have. Now, if they currently hold a level 3, they might want something in level 4 or even level 5. But that would be, say, greatly determined by their particular role that they have in that sector.
Okay. And somebody asking here, what qualification do you need for health and social care level 3 apprenticeship?
Well, there's no particular qualification necessary involved. It will be ideal if they had some sort of experience, perhaps in health and social care, or some qualification in it, but there's no additional need to have one before they start on it. They can do it if they've got, say, level 1 perhaps, or ideally a level 2 to transfer onto it. But again, that will be very much dependent upon the role that they do as well, because typically the level 3 in health and social care is for someone that's a little more experienced in social care than the level 2 worker. So that it would ideally be someone that's got some experience in the care sector itself. Okay.
And are there any apprenticeships, Sarah's asked, are there any apprenticeships for digital design or media available?
They do exist. We don't do them at the college, but they do exist. There's digital marketing and digital media. I do know that. So again, that would be one you'd have to look on the government website to see on there. For they, again, if you put digital media or so on the Find Apprenticeship website, any vacancies will be on there.
Okay. What time of the year can somebody start as an apprenticeship?
Any time of the year is fine. They're a roll-on, roll-off course. So as soon as anyone finds a position and manages to get one, then they are typically able to start the course. There's no sort of particular date. It's not a September to June kind of situation like a regular course. It's when the job starts, then the learner can start the course.
Okay, and is there an apprenticeship for railway engineering or automotive engineering?
Yes, we do an auto engineering course. It's both level 2 and level 3, and we do have a relationship with a company that does railway engineering. And if this person's interested in doing that, we could put their name across to this company, and they would get in contact with them, and it would be possible for them to do that course. But I say at the college we do both level 2 and level 3 in auto engineering.
I've just gonna let everyone know that I've just put the apprenticeship's email address in the chat box. So if you want to get in contact with anyone and to have a sort of more one-to-one discussion or a little bit more in depth about your personal circumstances, then feel free to contact them on the email, and they'll be happy to arrange a time that they can talk to you on a one-to-one basis. Another question that we've got from somebody who's called themselves Hi, I Was Late. Do you have courses for electricians? I'm 48. Do you think I can get apprenticeships as an electrician in building?
Well, with electrical apprenticeship, because it's a level 3, typically people with experience are required. So there would have to be some knowledge of that field in some way, perhaps if they'd done a course or had some sort of experience, because it's quite a high level, the electrical standard, we typically only take on people that have got some knowledge of the sector and some sort of either some lower level qualification in that field, or who has some kind of electrical experience. The age is not a factor in it. It's because of that, it's the experience that will be, because it's a 3.5 year duration course, and it's quite a high level. So we need someone really that's got some knowledge of that field before they can start.
Okay, I mean, if you're interested in doing an electrical course, but you don't necessarily have any background to it, we do offer of adults courses, other courses at the college. So we have a level 2 electrical installations diploma that you can do. And we also have a level 3 advanced diploma as well, leading on from that. So Jason, would that be something that they could maybe think about doing first of all, the level 2,
yes,
and then move on to the apprenticeship later once they've gained that experience?
Yes, that is an ideal thing. That level 2 is an ideal sort of introduction to the sector, and you're taught by industry specialists. So this is obviously a sort of starting point in terms of learning the basics of the business basics of electrical work, and then after that year of doing that, you will be very suitable to go straight onto the apprenticeship from there.
Okay, we've had another question as well from Nilfa asking, they want to learn English for adults, but they also want to do it alongside a profession. Is this something that's available for apprenticeships, or would they have to take maybe a different route?
There would need to be a different route, because obviously English will be part of the course in terms of learning English qualification as part of the apprenticeship itself. It will be difficult to determine again, because it would depend on their standard of English as how it was in terms of their suitability to even take on the apprenticeship, because again they would have to pass the initial assessment, so their English would have to be at sort of what one might call a reasonable standard in order to be accepted as an apprentice. So that would have to be determined, I think, via assessment in terms of their standard for an apprenticeship itself. And as one could obviously do a profession itself, but if you're learning English for adults, it would very much depend on how much English you had to learn, really.
Okay, I'll bring Nelson in for this question. Is any apprenticeship full-time learning or part-time learning?
So most of the apprenticeships, they are full-time learning. So what does it mean is you're employed full-time and you're in education at the same time as a full-time candidate. Because it's work-based learning, it all depends on the working hours you would be doing. So the part-time apprenticeships would be lasting for 30 hours per week. But for these 30 hours per week, you would be doing 23 hours within the workplace and 7 hours in the college. However, if your employer would like you to work more hours, let's say 35 hours or 37 hours, still the same rule applies. 20% of that total hours will be towards your off-the-job training, which is attending college or meeting with your assessor, doing your coursework, and remaining of the time will be in the workplace. But to answer the question, most of the apprenticeships are full-time, but there are some apprenticeships where employers have got 30 hours per week opportunities for candidates as well.
Thanks for that. Is there any apprenticeship for a social worker?
These days, you can name a sector and you will find an apprenticeship in there. So most employers tend to take on apprentices like as a stream of recruiting new staff, where they can train them and they can learn the ethics of the business according to what the employer needs are, and they can then be employed as full-time staff members. So it can be hospitality, it can be social work, it can be the management sector, it can be construction sector. So any sector a candidate is looking to do an apprenticeship, there are apprenticeships available.
I think I read somewhere that there's like 1,500 different sort of career routes available for apprenticeships. So yeah, that definitely sounds like whatever you can imagine,
yeah,
you can do an apprenticeship for that. Yeah. Do we do a level 1 in bricklaying?
We do level 1 bricklaying as a college course, but in apprenticeship,
not as an apprenticeship.
Not as an apprenticeship, because apprenticeship usually starts from level 2.
Okay, I'll just mention as well, I know this is an apprenticeship webinar, but we do offer at the college a whole variety of courses, mostly BTEC courses. And if you're interested in doing bricklaying, then yes, we do have a level 1 bricklaying course. It's a 2-year course, which will take you up to your level 2. And it's been designed as a sort of a package course. So it will give you all the certification and the skills that you need within those 2 years, so that you'll be fully qualified to work sort of in a domestic industry. And once you've done that and you've left the college and you're employed and you're in work, once you've finished your college studies, then you can also do a sort of part-time level 3 course that we offer at the college, and that will just build up your skills and allow you to work in a more commercial setting on like building sites and that kind of thing. So yes, we offer BTEC level 1 in bricklaying, and if you visit our website waltham.ac.uk, I'll put it in the chat as well, then you'll be able to locate that, and yeah, that'll be a good route for you to take. with us, because like I say, you'll have everything that you need, be fully certified to work in the industry upon leaving the college. So Nelson, I mean, what are some of the benefits of doing an apprenticeship over another different type of course? Do you think, as opposed to doing like a BTEC or as opposed to doing an A-level? Why would somebody choose to go into doing an apprenticeship?
See, the key benefits of apprenticeships is that you are learning and you are earning at the same time. If a candidate who's doing a BTEC or any other qualifications in the college, he or she must be coming 2 or 3 times a week. And at the end of the day, they might do a week's work experience throughout the program. But when you are doing any apprenticeship, you are working 3 or 4 days a week, and only 1 day you attend the college. So your exposure and your experience of the real world is far much better as compared to other candidates who are on the mainstream programs within the college. But it also depends at the same time, as I said earlier, from individual learning needs. If a learner is more towards can learn better in a classroom environment, then apprenticeship might not be the best route for that. But if a learner can learn more while being in a hands-on environment, then apprenticeship is a better route for that particular candidate. But when both of these candidates are in the real world, the candidates who have done apprenticeships have better opportunities and they have high exposure of work experience, and they can go further and get secure jobs much quickly as compared to someone who hasn't got the same work experience or who have just done the qualifications within the classroom environment. So these are the key things I would say that will help candidates to decide, that if apprenticeship is the best route for them, or still they have to attend college and do the mainstream program.
Okay, thanks very much for that. So somebody anonymous has asked, do we provide the apprenticeship courses, or do they need to apply separately at different companies? How does the application process work? So maybe if you could just simplify it down so that everyone can understand.
So for any apprenticeship, you need to have an employer who's happy to take you on as an employee, as an apprentice. So either the college can help you finding an employer, because sometimes employers approach colleges directly to recruit staff for them, or employers upload their vacancies online on the main government portal, which is Find an Apprenticeship Services. To do any apprenticeship, the employer then have to choose a training provider. So if they have come to Waltham Forest College, it means we have already had that connections with the employer, and we are happy to provide that particular program, which we are able to deliver on behalf of the employer. And then we will then recruit candidates, shortlist candidates, and put them forward for interviews for them to start their courses. But if you find any opportunity online, every single job description will have the training provider attached to it. So before even a job is advertised in terms of an apprenticeship, an employer has to decide that which training provider will be able to provide the qualifications, because it's a threefold area which goes in. An employer have to liaise with the college, and then finally a candidate comes in between, which is then employed and then starts attending the college. I hope that makes it clear.
Yeah, thanks for that, Nelson. It's just good to go over it again so that in case anybody was late, then they can understand the process. I'll just want to mention some what I would probably call sort of common myths associated with apprenticeships, and just try and clear them up so that everyone gets a better picture of what's available. So some people say that apprenticeships are sort of low-skilled training schemes. You might have heard something like that. Well, that just isn't true. Nearly about 6 in 10 apprenticeships are actually started at advanced or a higher level today. So it's actually a really good way to get some highly skilled people into the workforce, and you will be learning from people that are already in the industry. So you'll be getting some fantastic advice and valuable experience from people who have lived through the job, who understand the processes, who know what it's like in the working world. So you'll just have that step up above sort of anybody else who's maybe coming into work for the first time after having completed another course maybe. It's also mentioned, we touched on it a little bit earlier, but some people say that you're better off going sort of the university route. Well, not necessarily. You might, as an apprentice, you might end up earning more money just because you've had that extra time in the job and the training and the process that you've gone through, and you can also potentially rise up the career ladder more quickly than somebody who's just left university. And don't forget that there are options to do sort of degree apprenticeships as well, so you don't have to miss out on the opportunity of having a degree and having that high level of qualification. I've just seen we've had another couple of questions come in. So yeah, regarding the railway engineering apprenticeship, Nelson, how would somebody apply for that if they haven't got any qualifications that are related to that field? Does that matter for the railway apprenticeship one?
If it's at level 2, then it's highly unlikely that there will be any qualifications that is required, but it's the same platform I would recommend to go on to find an apprenticeship service and search for vacancies, or if candidates need some advice from us and they want to contact us, then they can send their details over to apprenticeships@waltham.ac.uk with their contact number, and either myself or my colleague Jason will be happy to speak to them and then tell them what's the best possible route and what are the opportunities available online in terms of railway engineering and any other engineering opportunities.
Brilliant, thanks very much. I hope that answers your question, Ali. Okay, and yeah, I've just mentioned Anonymous is asking about the railway engineering link. If you're interested in doing an apprenticeship on the railway engineering or automotive engineering that we do at the college, then please just contact us at apprenticeships@waltham.ac.uk. I've put the link in the chat, so if you just copy that, I'll put it in there again, and that will be the route that you can take, and then we'll be able to put you in contact with who you need to talk to progress those potential apprenticeship routes. Is there anything else that either you, Nelson, or Jason, you want to sort of add to this? Is there any sort of words of advice about anyone who's unsure, they're on the fence, maybe they're in school, or perhaps they're an adult who's looking to retrain or reskill? Is there any words of advice that you could give to them?
For the school leavers who are about to finish school this year, what I would say is, in order to do any apprenticeships, you have to ask yourself which sector or which area you really want to see yourself in next 5 to 10 years time. Because if you start doing an apprenticeship and if you don't enjoy going to work or doing that qualification, then you would exactly be wasting your time and employers' time as well. So it's best for you to have some careers advice. If you have careers advisors at school, you can speak to them, or you can book an appointment with the careers advisors at Waltham Forest College, where we can support you to find the career path which is suited for you. And for the adult candidates which are on this platform, what I would say is, if you're looking for any career change, if you are 19 plus or 24 plus, apprenticeships are for candidates who from the age of 16 and above. So don't think that it's too late for you. I have seen mature candidates who have been employed by employers who want to have a change of career, and they were really enjoying in the new apprenticeship opportunities. There might be a barrier for the mature candidates because the starting wages are not that high. So if that's not an issue for you, then definitely there's no barrier for you to do any apprenticeship.
Brilliant, thanks for that, Nelson. And Jason, is there anything that you'd like to add at all?
Yes, I think for school leavers in particular, I think it's very well worth thinking about the advantages of leaving school and going straight into employment, so you can gain greater qualifications, but also you've got that year's work experience, which is so vital in the world these days, to know that you've left school, but you've also then suddenly you've got an additional qualification and you've got a year's work experience that your contemporaries won't have. The other school leavers that have left, that have gone into perhaps college courses, when they leave that, they've got 2 years time or a year or 2 years time doing more academic courses. In the same time, you've got the same qualification as them, or perhaps better, and you've also got those years of work experience and the money that comes with that. I think that's something that needs to be very thought of if you're in that age, if you're a school leaver.
Brilliant, thanks very much. So if you have any more questions, then feel free to put them in the Q&A box. If there's no more questions coming through, then we might have to wrap it up here. I'll just give it a couple of minutes just to see if any more questions come through from anybody. In the meantime, if you want to keep up to date with anything that the college is doing, any new sort of apprenticeship opportunities or other courses that we offer for both school leavers and for adults, then you can go to the college website, which I've put in the Q&A chat box. Just visit that, waltham.ac.uk, and you can explore all of our courses. You can explore them just as the courses as they are, or you can look for them based on the industry, whatever best suits you. We've also got a new app on the website. So when you look at different courses, you'll see on the progression opportunities, we actually have a section there that has a new app called Pathways, which will give you information about different career routes and different courses that you can take that are linked to those career routes, and it will give you a sort of average salaries, what the sort of projected employment is like in the future, and it will just give you a better indication of what the options are available, showing you some live job vacancies now, so you can get a feel of what people in the industry are looking for. Because ultimately, that's what it's all about. You'll go into college or you'll do an apprenticeship specifically to be employed, to be able to get a good job, to have a really sort of fulfilling career going forward. So it'd be good to do a bit of research now, find out what opportunities are available in the sort of route that you want to take, whether that's in business and administration, in construction, hair and beauty, catering, whatever it is. Just have a look, see what people are looking for, and then make your decisions based on that. And as Liana said as well, don't just make the decisions yourself. Talk to your family, talk to your parents, see what they think about it as well, because they might have some different insights available. And like Nelson and Jason have both said as well, we've got brilliant support at the college, so you can talk to our careers advisors, you can talk to Nelson and Jason as well, and they'll be happy to give you any advice and guidance that you need to make the best decision to move forward with your career. So I see we haven't had any questions, so just say thank you to everybody for turning up to this webinar. It's been great having so many questions coming in, actually, and thank you to Nelson and Jason as well for sort of facilitating this and allowing us to dip into their expertise and share their experience and information about apprenticeship so you can be better informed.
Thank you for your time, Tom.
No problem. So thanks very much, guys. And yeah, we hope to see you starting an apprenticeship with us soon. So goodbye.